Hey. Welcome to the Mr. Hydration Station. I am your host, Mr. Hydration, and I'm gonna be talking about some well, let's call them sponsors, but they don't pay me. I just promote them because I believe in them as much as they believe in me. Number one, I just want to give a shout out to um I'm sorry, hold on, let me take a drink real quick. Fuck it. Shout out to water. Always stay hydrated, man. Always stay hydrated. We're gonna have our guest, Mr. Lightwork, come on here in a little bit, but I do want to give a shout out to DJ Slim. He's the DJ service that I work with. You can reach them at 815-25. Actually, hold on a second. There we go. 815-257-2601 for any and all entertainment purposes. You want some live entertainment, you want someone to DJ, you want an MC for your wedding, maybe an entertainment for your bar mitzvah, whatever it is, make sure you reach out to DJ Slim. Again, that number is 815-257-2601. Also, I want to give a shout out to K Squared Imagery. He's the man who took this picture. I put the logo on it for Mr. Hydration, and bam, it's a what do you call it? A duo thing. But anyway, he does amazing artwork himself. He takes amazing pictures. His name is Kevin Killalea. K Squared Imagery on Facebook. That's the letter K space squared imagery on Facebook. He's a great dude, real humble, and definitely likes to help out the community. So reach out to him if you're looking for pictures, maybe videos. He did my first music video. That's Superhero. Look it up on YouTube, Superhero by Victor Raul. And it's, I think at that time, or maybe his YouTube page is called Midwest Promotions or Midwest Productions or something. Another person I want to give a shout out to is to Sup Marf Studios. That's SUPMARF, one word, Sup Marf Studios on YouTube. He did my second music video. Like, you can look that up. It's called Float Away, Victor Raul. It's one of my favorite music videos. We shot it all here in Streeter, all locations here in Streeter, and it was all live performances at each one. And it was real cool because, like, I'd never done that before. Obviously, I've been playing my own music for a long time, but it's cool to know that it all transitioned and sounded the same throughout every performance. That was real fun. Another group I want to give a shout out to is Sugar Creek. I'm going to be playing there for the July 4th festival. It's a camping festival. Camping Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday you got to get out of there because Sunday's July 4th. But it'll be the first 4-day festival that Sugar Creek has. Another place I want to give a shout out to is Skydive the Falls. If you've never gone skydiving and you want to go camping and all that good stuff, make sure you go to Skydive the Falls. It's going to be July 15th to the 18th over at Niagara Falls. Skydive the Falls. That's why it's called it. Yeah. That's how we get it. Also, Phoenix Fest. That's going to be down in. Might need you to. Oh, that would be cool. Thank you, Taylor. Whoop whoop. Absolutely, do it. That would be cool. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Make sure you reach out to DJ Slim, though. I want to work through him, 815-257-2601. But like I was saying, Phoenix Fest, that's going to be down in Tall Tree Lake. I almost said Camp Minatoa, but it's going to be down in Tall Tree Lake. That's going to be July 23rd through the 25th. And there's many more festivals that I have to write down because right now I can't remember them. But I do know there's many more festivals out there. I believe Cybin Fest is another one. That's August 6th to the 8th, I believe. But anyway, I don't want to get those dates wrong. But today's guest is really, when he made his debut in PFC against Boogeyman, was one of the most impressive debuts I've seen in PFC. I've been following them for a little bit. PFC, if you don't know who that is or what that is, it's Peoria Fight Club. They're a great organization. Their moniker is gloves up, guns down. They're trying to clear the streets of any of as much crime and bad doing as possible, and they're doing it in a great manner by getting people inside of the ring to fight each other, get their frustrations out, and just see what's really up. And without further ado, let's welcome the PFC Heavyweight Champ, Mr. Lightwork himself. How are you, brother?
Everything's copacetic, sir. Can you hear me?
How you doing today, my man? Yeah, well, kind of. You're lagging a little bit there.
All right. Okay. Is it
Oh,
better
you're
now?
good now. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, good now. So how are you, my man? Let's
Yeah,
go over today.
everything's copacetic, man.
Yeah, yeah, nice, dude. So I do have to say your first fight with Boogeyman was like I said it in the introduction, but really it was super impressive. There's a lot of fighters that go in there that are just in the brawl, see what is in there, and then some that have some kind of skill. But the technique that you were using, your patience, the way that you were waiting for his punches to go through and just really gassing him out and then finishing him, I believe it was the second round, was super duper impressive. And I was like, whoa, where did this guy come from? So why don't you give us a little backstory about yourself?
Yeah, well, I've been fighting on and off boxing, Muay Thai, MMA for consistently since 2004. I've been in and out of mostly fighting. I do more coaching. I'm a coach at the UFC gym, and then with Chicagoland area as well as in Indiana and stuff. We got one gym out there in Maryville, so I've been consistently more into the coaching. I just mostly do the fighting this for recreation purposes, and there's more for my clients and stuff like that. Cause like I said, I ain't no spring chicken. I've been in the game for a while. I respect the craft, what it stands for, so I just like to just it's an outlet for me basically. So I'm really in tune with it.
Well, you're really you're really good at it, and it's really fun to watch, especially as a fan, a fight enthusiast. It really is. It's super impressive. I love watching the technique and especially knowing like when to hit, how to hit, and how hard to hit. And there are moments where you can tell like you're calculating where you want to go with, like, especially in the Rakim fight. It seems like you were really patient in there. You
Yeah,
weren't trying to put too much energy into finishing him at all. It was
yeah.
more like, go ahead.
Raheem, pardon my rudeness, but
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Raheem, my objective when I came in there with I had two injuries. No excuse though, because I mean he was a hell of a fighter, tough as nails. He applied himself. He surprised me because I spoke with his cornerman and I've listened to and he's pretty experienced his cornerman. So we had a talk, fight talk about what this, that, and the other and stuff. And fast forward, he corresponded with me when he was gonna give us some tips on how he could apply himself. But I've seen some of his fights. I'm like, he gonna rush me, and I'm gonna stop him. Because if he come at me reckless with all that typical heads up, chins in the air, elbows too wide, I'm breaking his ribs. So I already knew that was my objective to begin with. But I didn't want to put that much energy into it. So when the first few rounds came out, and he was kind of stepping back and picking his shots, I'm like, this ain't the guy I've been watching for a while. So I'm laughing because I'm like, so he gonna make me work for it, and that's what made it even more entertaining because, and I respect it because I wanted to overdo it, but then in my mind, I know I had another fight coming up, and I'm training for a world tournament coming up too. So I'm like, let me be careful because he's not no pushover, and one punch can change anything, whether he can punch or not. If I get too cocky or get too nonchalant or feel as though he's not applying no pressure, and he catch me, and you see that in typical fights, you be winning the whole fight and get clipped one time, and that's all it takes. So my mind, I'm like, let me just pick my shots off from him because I seen the way, and this a closing area. And I'm not used to fighting in a closing area because there's not that much room. You step back two times, you into the crowd. Like they don't have no cage or no ring. It's like I can't properly place him in the corner and work my shots. So in my mind, I'm like, let me just weigh it off. So let me just have fun with it though because he came to fight. So I would just want to see what he had to offer. So it worked out.
I mean, it was a great fight, and obviously a great opponent. Real tough. You hit him with so many shots that I think would have put other opponents down. He's got a really granite
I,
chin.
I really respect him. I gave him a lot of recognition after, before the fight and after the fight, and even on my on the Street Beast page or whatever, because I've definitely let it be known like that guy. I was surprised because the shots he was taking, I'm like, what is keeping this guys going? I see how exhausted he was. He was definitely lethargic. His legs was gone, but in my mind, I don't know if it was the crowd or his family or his mom that just reinforced the energy that he had. It was like some Goku, like some Zenzu beams or something. Like this dude really put his all into. I'm watching. I'm like, why does he keep coming out here? Because in my mind, I'm like, this quick. But man, he came from beginning to end. Even when he had nothing, he leaned on me. Even his punches didn't have no pepper on. He still just kept punching. He was like the little train that could, man. I mean, I couldn't. I did not expect him to go 5 rounds. That's why I'm laughing. Like he's still going. So yeah, he definitely
Yeah,
applied himself though.
Oh, for sure. And you can tell he's got mad heart. I did want to ask you the last 20 seconds. Obviously, there was some miscommunication between you two and the referee, and you thought it was over, but like it kept on going. What was that like?
I don't know. That kind of pissed me off a little bit because now I wanted to finish. I wanted to close the show. The referee said he thought he heard time or something. That was my conception on it because he explained that to me. He thought he heard time, and by the time it stopped, they just stopped it anyway. So I'm like, I guess that I mean it was as action packed as it was that last round. I figured we had 20 seconds to see what's what, and but I mean it was understandable though. So I mean it was over with. But then it went from 20 to 0. So it was like 20, 20, 19, and he like time. And then he just stopped the fight. Just stopped. So that
Yeah,
was a little
absolutely.
discrepancy, but it was okay.
When they were reading off the judges' scorecards and they was saying it was a split decision victory, what were your emotions
Man,
then? What were you thinking?
bro, this is what I know. This is from my assessment. For me, from a crowd standpoint, if you watch it from a fan standpoint, and you see him swinging and fighting hard, that's a hometown favorite. I'm fighting in his backyard. Of course, it's going to be a split decision because they would have made it a shutout. Only round I'll say he did good in, from my perspective, was the fourth round, and he actually like swung a little bit more than me. But that was it. I didn't see he didn't hurt me, didn't rock me, didn't make me sit back. His aggression, he didn't land no shots. Like my face looked the exact same. I went to another competition and competed. I had no injuries other than the injuries I had coming into it, and that was from 5 rounds. But I mean, it doesn't mean that he didn't push himself. For him to not be an untrained fighter, like I said, it's hard. I mean, I'll give him an A for that. But other than that, when I heard it, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, politics. That's the first thing went in my head. This is politics. I mean, if you don't beat in a fight game, they used to always tell us when you fight somebody in the backyard, you got to drop them 2 times and knock them out twice to have a draw. So, my whole understanding was, oh, here we go. They're gonna rob me. Which I mean, I would accept it regardless. I just took it in stride though. So when they came out, when the judge had him winning, I'm like, what round? I mean, besides the fourth round, he did as good. He fought hard. I mean, he fought. That was the best Raheem I seen. The corner, the advice he took, the way he applied himself, he definitely put his energy into that. So
I
but
agree with
that
you.
was
That
it
definitely
though.
was the best Raheem. But yeah. When they read that it was a split decision, I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
said,
a lot of people in the crowd agreed with that too. That they were just like,
yeah,
oh, wait a minute. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Like you were saying, you have to knock him down twice and to get even a
a
draw.
draw.
So
Yeah,
so when they read that, I was afraid. I was like, whoa, I hope they don't give it to the wrong guy. All props to Raheem, like you're saying, he did put it out there, and for sure that was the best Raheem I've seen. I mean, he
yeah.
pushed him to his limits in ways that he had never
He
been
was,
pushed before, and he showed up regardless
he
every
was
turn.
when I watched him in the corner and I seen his people had his legs up and they got the ice on. I mean, you would have thought he had a 12-round fight. I'm like, this is only round 3. So I'm like, oh my goodness. He is really, I don't know, like I said, whatever fueled him, that crowd, I don't know if it's the support system, but he need to fight like that more often though, because I gave him his props. I told him like, bro, you got much respect though, because I definitely expected him to come in with that rah head down, boiling matador aspect, and I was expecting to shut his lights up, but he definitely took his time though. All I'm hearing is crowd. I mean, he heard so much coaching in the corner. Keep your elbows in, hands up, step aside, throw some punches, tip your jet. I mean, I'm like, how many coaches he got in here? I mean, I thought he just had the corner, man, but hey, whatever he needs to do in the fight, man, that's that. So
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. You got to do what you got to do. I do also have to ask you because you were talking about how there isn't a cage, so you can't just like trap him in a corner because there's a whole crowd. What is that like fighting in where there's not a cage, as opposed to fighting where it's just a crowd of people? And not only that, but I've seen some of your fights in street beefs, and it's like there's mud on the ground, so you're slipping and sliding, but you
yeah,
have a cage. Over here, you got pads, but you don't got no cage.
you don't got
So
no
I'd
cage.
like to hear your opinions on
From
that.
from 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 an underground standpoint, but it being underground fighting, I know there's not the logistics of it is not going to be fair on all ends. It's going to be one without the other. I mean, and I understand that it is it like I said, as far as street beats and the outside environment, I came from street fighting, so it's like that's fighting at muddy areas or it was snowing or whatever the case may be. Now I'm accustomed to that. We still had a cage, so where I block you in that cage. I hold you right there for at least a few seconds. I can add on my shot, but in the crowd, and the baby in the inside environment, and it's so small and compact. That's a you destined to get knocked out in that environment. They're making sure and ain't no boxing up in there. If you boxing, you gonna have to box your ass off because they're gonna make sure they got it so close in where somebody has to get knocked out. 3 minutes, people can barely make it 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So people can barely even redeem themselves, recover in 3 rounds, 2 minutes. Now PFC do 3 minutes, 5 rounds for a championship. People struggle in 3 rounds, so that takes a lot. It takes a lot. Conditioning comes into play. Conditioning is king, and a lot of them fighters that I try to talk to and socialize with, I tell people all the time, our motto I live by is the more you sweat, the less you bleed. Because if you don't have the win and you ain't putting yourself, you can lift off. Huh?
I seen that shirt.
Oh yeah. And I live by that because it makes a big difference. People have so much of the aspect of, oh, I'm gonna be tough. You can be tough as nails, but your aggression is only gonna last for 45 seconds. Realistically, even in the fight game in the big leagues, you will never see nobody going 100 miles an hour for 3 minutes or 5 minutes in the MMA world. You'll never see nobody do that because it's a reason. It's a ring generalship. You take your time. You apply yourself. You pick your shots. You turn up when needed to. You defend when you need to. You grab when you needed to. You can't get distracted by the crowd because the crowd will get you hurt. Because they'll be, oh man, do this and that. Then you lose. The crowd will turn you in the same breath. I told you shouldn't have did that. You should have did this. It's like, what? You the same support. But I mean, that's the crowd though. They with you 1 minute. When you win in 10 fights in a row, you lose. I told you he wasn't shit. He shouldn't be doing this anyway. He too old. He too short. He don't take it seriously. And it's like, but you the same people that have been rooting for me the whole time on my page. But I mean, that's part of the game though, man.
Definitely fans are fickle, man. That's undeniable. But at least they're there, you know. At least
they're definitely there. They're definitely there. They definitely entertaining.
Yeah, good or bad, at least they're there for sure. I do want to ask you too about your championship fight with I think his name is Big D over in Street Beast.
Big D, yeah.
What was that like? Because that dude was like 350 pounds going in there.
He's about the biggest guy I've fought. I fought a guy in a Muay Thai event. He was 300, but he wasn't that tall. He was like 300 and like 5'8", so he was like a Oompa Loompa or whatever. So I wasn't really worried about that. But D, that was the biggest guy I ever fought, and I know he's a knockout puncher. Like all his fights, they probably like, oh, he's not that tough in this and that. But size is, if he lean on you, one of his shots is like 3 of my shots. I got to be careful. So in my mind, when I was fighting him, I trained and that's about the hardest I trained in a long time because in my mind, I'm like, he gonna try to hurt me. He's gonna try to finish me. He's not gonna make it a fair fight. You don't have the endurance. I'm a lot smaller than him. He's gonna push my pace. So in my mind, I fought him as if I was fighting for a world championship because I was telling myself I can't make it. If I make it close, you know how it is. You got to beat the champion. If you don't beat the champion, you lost. And that's how I go. You can win the first few rounds, but you got to dominate it. It can't be debatable. It can't be close because automatically he got the strap. Your goal is to beat him. If he maintain it and do enough, he gonna stay champion. So my objective was to hurt him as much as I could, and he took some shots. I don't know. He went from fighting to this surviving. Like he was drowning though, but I don't know. He had a backpack, oxygen backpack somewhere because he held on. So
yeah, it looked like towards the end of it, he definitely was just surviving.
Yeah,
but towards the
go ahead, sir. Oh, no, go ahead, sir.
Well, I was just gonna say it. Look,
go ahead. We both in it. Go ahead.
Right. Just from my perspective, it looked like you took over definitely midway through. Then after that, he was just like covering up, just shelling up. What was your thought process going in there, knowing that like at any time he could just like save his gas, explode, and you're just sitting there hitting him at all different angles.
Well, I did a lot of training with some heavy guys, so I was prepared if he would have hit me with a looping shot or whatever, how to recover. And I know how to clinch. In every fight you'll watch, I clinch people for no reason. I don't need to. See, a lot of people don't understand the objective of clinch. They feel like, oh, you clinch because you're scared or you don't want to get hit. if you got to think about it, you got to carry my weight. When you carry my weight, when you put pressure on somebody, pressure busts pipes. Even if I'm not hitting you, the anticipation, the anxiety sets in within the individual. They tighten up, they tense up, they start breathing heavy. They throw a shot they probably didn't even mean to throw. It is off of impulse because their psyche and their mind tell them, oh, he's going for the kill. And I'm just leaning on you. I'm just coasting through the fight. And my mindset, I was doing the same thing with him where if I lean and position myself just enough, if he hit me with a good shot, I know how to clinch. I know how to hold. I don't have no pride issues. So if you hit me clean or not, I'm gonna make it a dirty fight as much as possible. I'm gonna make you carry my weight, feel my elbow, my forearm, my head into your shoulder. I can get away with it. I'm gonna do whatever needed to win.
Absolutely, and it shows too. Definitely, just like the way that you fight, you're very cerebral, and I don't think anyone would judge you. And if they do, fuck them. You know.
Yeah. I'm okay. I got accolades to back that up. So if anybody was judge me, they can just show up because I don't. That's the outside. We don't do all that extra rap. Don't do that social media stuff. If I feel like we got to mix and change the words, we're going to either solve it diplomatically or barbarically, and I'm good either way. So
I like it, man, and I really appreciate your energy as well. Speaking of which, you carry yourself like a leader because you are a coach. You are a coach.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I've seen a couple of videos on the Maryville Facebook UFC page. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you got into coaching and how long you've been doing it, and obviously promote your work.
Okay. Yeah, I've been coaching consistently on a serious level for about 9-10 years now. And when I started as one of the first gyms that I was training as, I didn't have the money to keep up with my membership. So the way we was able to pay back was to train some of the youth or some of the older unskilled fighters and stuff like that. So when I started to do that, I started feeling like I had more of a passion for coaching instead of fighting, because it's like to be a champion is the one, but to build one, that takes a lot of a person, because I feel like it don't make no difference if you got to a certain position in your life and you don't go back and take no other individuals with you and carry them and help them get where you at. Like, show them the blueprint, show them consistency, show them and teach them discipline, because you've been there, so they can relate to you more because they seen where you went through that transition, the trials and tribulations. And with that in mind, I just kept sticking with it. So of course, fighting and coaching is a lot of work of maintaining it. Plus, I have another job as well. But it just, I don't know, I feel like it's a glorious moment when I take the time and I hear somebody just had that same excitement, because it's like that's a confidence builder that does so much for the self-esteem, and it really gives back to the community in a way where ain't no money in the world can give me that. So that's really what took me to that point and what gravitated me towards the UFC gym. I used to be at the UFC gym, help coaching out in the Oak Line. So they just came to me as far as about fighting and stuff. I used to come up there to spar and stuff. So fast forward, they brought to my attention, like, you can coach, you got a good resume and stuff, and they want live fighters that actively do stuff and got a decent resume and stuff. So I just tried it, and I've been consistently doing it at Maryville for going on, UFC gym period for consistently for 5 years. So that's been basically like my home, my second home.
Man, that's got to feel good, especially because coming from just like you said, starting in street fights, that's how you got all this started. So now you're teaching these young kids to not only defend themselves, but really learn how to fight and get in there and I guess not have to worry about getting in street fights because you have an outlet for all your frustrations.
Exactly. That's what we push more than anything when it comes to the youth as well as the adults. Well, we teach them, because growing up, we wasn't taught diplomacy and stuff like that. We wasn't taught to have sit downs. You saw, if I got a problem, you got a problem, you solve them with fights and stuff like that. But then that's when the penal system comes up, and then we get incarcerated, or then we get paralyzed, or then we have unnecessary beef. So it's kind of hard to be successful and live a realistic life when you have all this regress, aggression going on, and some people don't have outlets, and some people may not want to fight. They might just need that just for a fitness outlet, or just for to get some stress out. But it's an environment where we can all embrace each other and build each other up and stuff, because it's like the first two jobs that a young man get growing up is being a protector and a provider. So even if you don't want to fight or compete, you're going to be a father one day. You're going to be you're a son of somebody, and to be a protector, that speaks volumes and stuff. So the fact that we can initiate within the youth as well as the adults and teach them different aspects of that, and teach them to go forward in life, even if they don't stick with us long, that's good. But long as they got something out of the situation, I feel like there's growth and development.
That's beautiful, man. That's a big reason that I really support Robert Bryant at PFC, because that's the whole goal, is to kind of get all that stuff out of the streets get them into the ring and just help build each other up, you know, get people better. You got people that may have had beefs before, they get in the ring, start fighting, or maybe their teammates do. And next thing you know, their friends are training with each other. And now you're building a community even better than it was before.
Exactly. I definitely agree.
Speaking of Robert Bryant, bam, he's like the champ.
Okay, all right, let's go.
I do want to ask you about your resume. You said you had done kickboxing, MMA, and obviously boxing. Why don't you talk a little about that?
I've been doing boxing since 2004. I've been doing Muay Thai and MMA since 2007. So boxing, I got over 100-some fights. Muay Thai, I got over 16 fights. MMA, only got 13 fights in MMA. So MMA only lost once. Muay Thai, I lost once fairly, and then I had one that was debatable. So I fought a guy from Glory. He was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to stop me and all this, that, and other, but I kind of like handled him pretty easily and stuff. But styles make fights, but that don't mean that he was a discreditable fighter at the moment. I just had his number. Like, how's my driving? So,
damn, man. So I guess now I want to ask you, what's one favorite fight that you have for yourself from each discipline that like someone like me could look up?
Let me see. One favorite fight
from each discipline. So boxing, MMA, and kickboxing.
I had to look. I had to look in my files and stuff, whatever, because I really don't keep up with too much of that now, because I've been wrapped up with the coaching. But I had to look up something like that, and I would probably send you something that you probably can look up, and then go from there. So I can't really just tell you off the top of my head where it's like, oh, because I had so many fights, because I've been doing underground fights for quite so many years. I haven't did the last. I can actually say the last world tournament I did was a world Muay Thai tournament I did. It was in Iowa. I fought heavyweight and stuff. Dang, what is his name? His last name was Riot. Something Riot. Riot Wallace. Riot Wallace and stuff. And that was a good fight that we had for our Muay Thai MMA. Most of the old leagues and stuff that I had, they kind of either closed up or we took some of the videos down, because after I had my first loss in MMA, it kind of like bothered me, because the guy who beat me explained how he watched some of my old videos and stuff like that. My coach put up mostly all my fights and stuff. So yeah.
I got you. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll definitely check them out if you send them my way. I'll obviously watch this again and look up the fight you're talking about right now.
Okay.
But yeah, if you find any more, absolutely send them my way. I'm a huge fight fan. I love watching these 100%. Okay. So I do have to ask you, now that you are the Street Beefs champ and the PFC champ, what are your plans next? Who do you want to defend against in each organization?
With from the PFC, if Raheem won his rematch or whatever, I'll give him his rematch, and whoever else that seems like they want to step up, it could be the same night, because I don't really have an objective with whoever want to fight. And Street Beefs, I was looking to fight this guy named King Kang, but because he kind of called me out. Well, not called me out. They just brought up in the interview indirectly and stuff, and he got a good fan base and stuff like that. I'm mostly trying to fight people with a decent fan base, so I can take their fans and stuff. That's basically about it. I don't really care about who the person is and stuff, but they got a good fan base and stuff like that, and they seem like they give me a competitive fight. I don't want a person that just be a hype train, because hype trains don't last long. They like 15 minutes of fame and stuff. I don't really get wrapped up. I want a person that I can see like longevity wise, like as in Street Beefs, like fair play. Even though he's smaller than me and I didn't really fight him that hard, he's been taking a tear. I mean, he's been rearranging everybody after me. I mean, MMA and boxing, to the point where nobody has made it even competitive against him. He beat two top fighters in one night. Like, he beat Iraqi Assassin and Unknown in the same day. I mean, he did one bare knuckle boxer, had a whole dressed up outfit. I mean, then he turned around
the suspenders,
the suspender joints. Yeah. I mean, fair play is like, I like people like him. Like, if he was more my weight, people like with that stuff, because I don't want to beat nobody and then he's already beat me for it. Like, I haven't seen nobody beat fair play at all, and it's like that. So I want to fight a person that is, I know that take it seriously, not a person that is obsessed with. I just want to get some attention, you know, because some people confuse attention with respect. And I want a person that really respect the craft and really take it in and gonna be and push forward through perseverance after the fight, as opposed to that. So either or, have it go on Street Beats, whoever they have that they build up, where I feel like it's worth it, where I can just come out there and stuff and get them out of there, and then that's that.
Robert Bryant says, "Fight that guy Gorilla from Street Beefs."
Gorilla's too small. Gorilla's my guy actually. Like his coach, he been in my corner since day one, and he been like my little guy. You hear the guy Bang Time? He real animated. He always talking mess, McRib and all this stuff. That's where I get it from. Like that's my little guy. So me and Gorilla talk like every other day. It's like he don't have enough experience and he too small. So and the fact that we got a camaraderie with his coach, I kind of like told Gorilla like yeah. Even though Gorilla, he said he would fight me and stuff, but I know it wouldn't be good for him to fight me, and he knows that as well and stuff. And out of respect, it's kind of like if he gains some weight, he's not a real heavyweight either. He's like technically like 170, 180. So you gotta have some power to keep me off you. You gotta have some power and you gotta have some good ass cardio. And he's good, but he only been boxing realistically for only 2 years, and he got over 20 some fights. But
Damn.
so it's like once he build up, he'll be a problem. He'll be a problem to somebody. Like I can see him be a little bit more, but I need somebody a little bit more though. Like Gorilla's exempt. Like that's he my little buddy. And so I mean, if it come down to it, and the money's right, because they got the BOK Prime thing, but we gonna be fighting on against other East Coast, other West Coast fighters or whatever. You know, that's cool and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm gonna try to like leave that alone at the moment.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Another person that people are interested in, and Robert Bryant just brought it up, Lucas Gwaltney. If he were ever to gain weight, that would be a mega fight.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, if Lucas was big enough, because he's one of the very few guys. I even told him when I'm like, bro, you're one of the very few guys I've seen in this league. Well, I'm like, man, he nice. Me and Robert to tell you, I messaged him about him fighting Raheem, and I told him, I said, who fighting Raheem? He said Lucas. I said, oh Luke. I'm like, how about this? After Lucas beat Raheem, I fight Lucas, and that beat it. And I know he was a middleweight at the time. So Robert explained to me, oh, I don't think he's gonna beat him. I'm like, now I know technique and I know skills. A fighter knows a fighter, and when Lucas is about the most complete fighter, the only thing I got over him is weight. I don't know where his cardio is, but he's definitely poised, and he definitely have a craft out this world. I respect him. If he was big enough, that definitely be a good little fight. We have to go more than 5 rounds though, because I want to see how I want to. I feel like he'll bring out the best in me, though. Like I just want to see how much he got, though. Yeah. He'll definitely be a tough fight to beat it. Like a lot, because he comes in, he just as poised, just as composed. He throw his shots, and he trying to finish too. So yeah, Lucas is definitely a problem. I've been saying that for the longest. When I talked to him, finally had a pleasure of speaking with him. I'm like, yeah, Lucas, I'm a big fan of him though. Never even seen him before, but only seen him fight 2 times, and I'm like, oh yeah, ain't nobody finna beat him no time soon. Like when I felt like when he fought Raheem, I didn't feel like he lost, but you know what I mean, that's that. It's like that. I felt like he gave up 2 rounds, but with the knockdowns that he had from early in the fight, I felt like he pulled it off.
For sure, and a lot of people agree with you. A lot of people don't think he lost that fight, but he also has a lot of respect for you. He was actually telling me that he felt kind of weird that he had a corner against you.
Yeah, he told me.
Title fight. Yeah.
We touched bases. That's why I'm like, the first time I finally correspond with you, we touch bases, get the respect out the way. You know, we're gonna be setting up some sparring sessions down the way. And then he like, they told me I got to record right here. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh man, this is odd because what advice you gonna give him? You ain't been training with him for a long period of time, but he explained to me logistics behind it. So I'm just like, all right, that's cool. I mean, he took some of the advice. He took his time though. He didn't he didn't swing all recklessly like he normally have in some of his previous fights. So yeah, it was definitely awkward though. I'm looking at Lucas. I can see his facial expressions. It's so funny because in the fight you can hear Lucas, really coaching him. And then when he was kind of doing the opposite, it was like Lucas was just kind of shaking his head.
Yeah, he's a good cat, man. I love Lucas. He's from my hometown, Streeter, Illinois.
Yeah, I definitely respect his craft, though.
He said it's something to talk about in the future, and I agree, man. I think that'd be 100% a big money fight, a big super fight, because obviously both of you are super skilled. Both of you are very humble, and you're just in there to test yourself. And like you said, you feel like he'd bring the best out of you, and I'm absolutely certain that you would bring the best out of him, and I'm sure he feels the same way. Other than Lucas Gwaltney, are there any other fighters out there that you kind of have an eye on, either in PFC or Street Beefs?
A few fighters in Street Beefs that I'm waiting on, though. I don't want to say their name because I want to give them no recognition yet. I want to kind of wait and see if they earned it enough. And then it's maybe like two people. It's a guy. It's this one guy. He ain't fought yet. His name's Striking Viking. He's pretty explosive fighter or whatever. I was looking forward to fighting him and whatever, because like I said, I know he got a good following and stuff, and I just want to see where he at, because he talks a lot like he's better than what he is and stuff, and I don't feel like he is. So the moment he come back, I don't want to give him his first loss or second loss, whatever he already had. But I don't know. I don't like people that kind of talk mess, because since I'm a real fighter, you'll never hear me demean, dog nobody out. Now, unless you get beside yourself, then I'm going to expose you. I'm going to pull up your skirt, period, point blank. But I'm respectful. I try to be. I'll give you a crowd. I'm going to explain the logistics of the fight. I'm not going to talk personally like, oh, you trash and this and that. Even if I feel that way, I'm going to do my best, because it's kind of to step in here, period, and compete. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of tenacity to step in the ring, regardless if you can fight or not. Because people talk it all day. Oh, I would. But you've seen in plenty of events, people just don't show up. They get cold feet. Their wife tell them, no, I shouldn't do it. The baby tell them they got a job that you didn't know they had, and they just don't show up. So, yeah, it definitely takes a lot. So, I respect that more than anything. But when I hear some people that kind of get beside themselves and feel like they're better than what they are, I don't know. I feel like I got to come clean house. So, I'm going to be the maintenance man.
I like it, dude. But yeah, I agree with you. There are a lot of people that I respect everyone steps in the ring. I've only stepped in the ring once, but I've been in there, so like I understand. Like it takes a lot, the nerves that get in beforehand, and like you're saying, there's some people that even pull out the day of. There's been I think the first card I ever showed up at PFC and seen it live, there was like 4 or 5 pullouts of the card, and Lucas had to find somebody to fight to defend his title, and it's like I respect people that get in the ring so much, and I want to give them a voice to be heard, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I really want, like, there was a dude that I interviewed on Saturday that had lost 4 times in a row. He was 0-4. His name is Omni, 0-4, and he kept on coming back. He just wanted that win and finally got that win on Saturday. And just to see the emotions on his face and like how happy he was to finally get that W. He's like, man, I know I'm going to get a streak coming in. And it's like, that's what this is about right here. There's people that go in the ring that fight once, they lose, they don't want to come back. And then there are people like Omni that get in there and just try again. And the next thing you know, he finally got a win.
That's like my guy in Street Beast. We got a guy named Pitbull. He is hilarious. He called himself the baby Mike Tyson and this and that. Now, this dude, if you hear his intro, you would think, he's a destroyer, like Judge Dredd, Juggernaut, Wolverine. You'll think he is a force to be reckoned with. And then you hear his record, you're like 0-9. You're like 0-9. It don't add up. But he got his first win. It was maybe like 2 months ago. Oh,
I bet he felt so good.
When he won, I felt like I won the Olympics when he won. I cheered. I wasn't even there, but I just felt like that moment was my moment as well, because I remember this. Like when I first started fighting, my first 2 fights I lost. I fought a guy from Indianapolis. I was beating the crap out of him, and he just started growling at me, and I just froze. And he beat me up like the last round. They gave him the fight, but I froze. And I was winning the whole fight. Second fight, I lost, and people just didn't have that credibility in me. When I first started fighting, they told me I wasn't big enough, I wasn't aggressive enough. I didn't train at this gym. I should do. You hear so much of that like that. So I use that as fuel. But I remember that. So that's why I give some people a chance on the coaching, whether they become a good fighter or not. It's the fact that somebody invests in you. It takes a lot, because people talk that talk, but to follow up and give you that feedback and then show you like, I believe you just as much as you do and stuff like that. Like that means a lot when you have that support from that foundation and stuff like that to put you where you need to be. So the fact that you said that guy was 0-4 and he finally won, that's a victory. That's a victory beyond itself.
Oh yeah, and you could just tell in his energy in the interview, he was just so happy. You could just like it's like you said, it was like he won the lottery, and I felt for him too. I'm sitting there like, I'm trying not to show bias because I have to stay in the middle. But like, I wanted to be like, bro, give me a hug.
I promise. Yeah, I definitely understand that, man.
So, what about I guess I had a brain fart there.
Okay. Take a moment.
My bad. Okay, so I do want to ask you, do you have any social media that you want people to follow? That's kind of why I had the brain fart, because I just realized that like I had to connect to you through someone else through Angie's page.
I don't do social media and stuff because I live a different life outside of this. I don't leave that there. So social media, nah, I don't do no social media stuff. You'll see me at an event or corresponding to somebody else's page and stuff. Yeah, I don't do the social media stuff. 'Cause people on social media, I'm a different type of guy. You know, I come up here real diplomatic, real social, understanding stuff, but I'm big on respect. And these trolls, they talk. I mean, you got the good ones, but them few, nah. Because if I hear enough out of the way, I'm gonna pull up at your doorstep. Like it ain't none of that. I'm a different guy. I don't do all the bragging like, oh, I'm about this and that. You would have seen me, and I know since I don't have a discipline to have social media, I just stick to the UFC page, my girl page, and all this stuff, and leave it at that because because I know if I had that page, I'll be obsessing. I'll be every millisecond. My dopamines will be going crazy. I'll be watching. What they say about me? What they comment about me? Well, I'm gonna tell them this, and then I went from saying this. I won't catch a case for nothing over something I could avoid to begin with. I know since I don't have that fortitude to separate myself to not even open the page because I ain't strong enough for that shit.
Yeah, social media is definitely a bitch sometimes. 100%.
I ain't at that place yet. I'm okay with it.
Well, all right. Well, I guess there's not that. But do you have an idea of when you want to come back to either Street Beefs or PFC?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to. I'm planning to come back to Street Beefs after. I'm mostly before my tournament because I got a world tournament set up in June. So I'm gonna come back to Street Beefs maybe beforehand or after because they're gonna be setting me up with this BLK Prime event where they're gonna shoot me out to California or whatever. So I'm waiting on see when they give me an exact date on that. But then if the date set postponed to later on, then I'll just come out soon in between June and July. But Peoria, I'll probably plan to based on my schedule because like I said, I got 2 jobs. I plan to come out there later on this month. So later on this month, like more toward the end of the month and stuff, or whatever, and let's see what's what based on my schedule and stuff. Because going out there don't be no issue. It's just my jobs and stuff like that. I just can't shoot out there like in my own convenience and stuff.
Absolutely. Robert Bryant says, "Yo, you're a really intelligent guy, bro."
Oh yeah, tell them respect, man. Gratitude on that. I mean, I feel like being an example. You have these people that on these interviews. You hear a lot of suspect and they're talking. A lot of people don't like to express their education or some fact that they went to school or anything because it's like, oh man, they're doing something to my credibility, all that insufficient nonsense and stuff. And I don't like to exercise that. It's like you gonna respect me for who I am. I'm not caught up with gimmicks and trying to be this way or clarify myself. But I feel like I need to express myself from this tone. It's a jargon I want you to use. You're gonna respect it.
And it also creates a really good role model to look up to, especially as a coach. Like I mean I'd said it before, but like you do come from street fights and you worked your way up and now you're a coach. And I mean the way that you carry yourself, you almost wouldn't even know that just because of the way you carry yourself. And you're professional, I guess for lack of better words, badass. Like
right.
You're like you were saying before, we can either settle it diplomatically or barbarically. Either way, I'm okay. And that to me is probably one of the best quotes I think I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, that plays a big role. I just like to be that example because, like I said, I didn't have enough influences growing up. Like I've been around, you name it, when it comes to good and bad sides of the spectrum. And I noticed growing up, for me to make a difference, I got to be the example. I can't talk it if I'm not walking. It's like the first thing, if you think about it growing up, you can teach a kid as much as you want and tell them don't do this and don't do this or do this, but they're going to emulate what they see. And the image. Like I can show you 1,000 different things. And a lot of individuals will say, oh, I can do this, I can do this, but they see that image or they see that moment for the first time, they're going to follow that. Because, I mean, that's the biology of human beings and stuff. So that's inevitable. So I do my best. I never know who's watching me, who's talking. This could be this could propel me into a better environment or something like that, or branch me or build a bridge to somebody else and stuff. So I want to make sure I can tell people like I came from the way of life you came from, the streets, the games, all the stuff, you name it. But once again, I didn't let that define me. You know, they always say you that saying how you're a product of the environment, but don't be a prison to it. And my goal is to be the outside of that.
That's beautiful, man. All right. I guess one last thing. Do you have a message for your followers, your fans, to the people that might have just now been introduced to you?
I just want to say I just appreciate anybody who comes with me or that's with me or against me and stuff. I'm doing the best I can to apply myself and keep putting on entertaining shows and stay consistent. And whatever challenges set for me in life, period, though, inside and outside the ring, it's like I'm gonna be that example and that standard and not a statistic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this interview. I enjoy your work, Mr. Lightwork. Also, Beast in Street Beef, so make sure you check him out at both areas. If you want to see him in person, PFC. I would suggest PFC. I'm a little biased in that notion.
Okay,
but
you do that.
But I love the environment.
That's what you want right now.
I do love the environment though over there, especially.
I do. They kind of rowdy, but they my type of people though. I mean, when you go over there, you definitely better have some artillery or some people they call the case because they are a different breed up in there. But I respect them though, because for the most part, outside of the typical nonsense and stuff like that, they all really like family oriented. Like I can say that much. So,
absolutely. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Lightwork. I appreciate you.
All right, bro.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, that was the legend, the champ himself, Mr. Lightwork. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please come out and enjoy his next fight. Whether it's at PFC or Street Beefs, obviously I would prefer you go to PFC, Peoria Fight Club. Great organization. Their moniker, gloves up, guns down, and that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Later on today, I will be interviewing Bobo O'Bannon of BKFC. That's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. He just won his last fight. He took it on 4 days' notice. The guy didn't come out of the second round. It was a great fight. If you want to tune in for that, it's going to be at 6 p.m. Otherwise, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all later. Oh, and stay high.